The Pier Art Centre's collection came to the Pier as a gift from a lady called Margaret Gardner. So the core of our collection is very much a 20th century British modernist collection focused around the St Ives group, and I think that in a way her giving in that to Orkney recognised the similarities in a way that existed. Orkney sits in the middle of 3 seas. Cornwall sits on 3 sea routes. I think her genius was to recognise that she could take that work that she had amassed through her friendships and transplant it in Orkney, and it would have almost an additional charge because it wasn't where you would expect it. The National Collecting Scheme came along at an ideal time for us, just as we were beginning a project to refurbish the gallery and to extend it. The key question that we had to answer for ourselves was, how do we take a collection which is very much a snapshot of 20th century Britain, and how do we add to that in a way that picks up the legacy of the aesthetic that's within the collection that we already have.
I think from the Pier Art Centre's point of view, it's important to be able to focus again on our own collection and look at the strengths and the themes that are contained within it. The themes that clearly jump out are landscape and colour. So we wanted to not be too specific about landscape as such, but something that was certainly non-metropolitan, that had a non-urban theme. Scale is an important thing for our collection. Margaret's collection was gathered for her own home in Hampstead, and none of the works are large. They have a domestic feel about them, and we wanted to reflect that to a degree. There are some of the new works that we've purchased that are quite large in scale, but I think the kind of jewel-like quality and intensity of some of the works in the original collection was something that we wanted to develop, I think. When we first started to think about collecting new works, there were certain artists that sprang to mind immediately, and one of those was Sean Scully, a hugely important and sought-after artist working today. And there are links, I think, to particularly Peter Lanyon and certainly Nicholson that bring that kind of contemporary viewing of landscape, up to date in a kind of more emotional way, perhaps, than Nicholson. We felt that it was important to provide a range of artists. I think that it wasn't just the superstars that we were acquiring, but emerging talent as well. We saw Camilla Lowe again at Frieze, and immediately I was struck with the kind of playful way that it looks at other kind of movements in contemporary art, maybe Russian constructivism, minimalism, and pop art even. It's also a work that again is quite playfully kind of comes apart, and you can configure it in different ways, and we're looking forward very much to playing with it. We'd been interested in Scandinavian artists for a long time. When we saw, or when I saw the piece by Olafur Eliasson at Frieze last year, with the title "The Colour Spectrum Series," which again I think brings a conceptual edge to, I think, the similar themes. Neil and I both admired the work of Roger Ackling for many years, and they're basically made using sunlight and a magnifying glass, and more or less literally drawing with the sun on wood, and this the formal characteristics of that kind of way of working fed into the design of the Pier Art Centre extension in a very kind of direct and quite surprising way.
The opportunity to collect in the future, I would hope, because we've managed to establish that leap in time from a 20th century kind of base to works that say 2000 and something allows any curator coming along in the future to take a broader view. And I hope that the Pier will have that opportunity in the future, and curators within the Pier.